All right, guys. It is good to talk with you. Sorry I missed last week. I was traveling to West Texas to hang out with a sick friend. So your prayers and thoughts are definitely good for him because he's not doing so hot. So yeah, I missed that, but here I am today. Really behind on stuff. I'm so tired. I just want to nap. Maybe we can do the Super Mario RPG type of thing where I'll be sleeping here and you gotta rub your hands raw on the little joystick, to wake me up. If I start to fall asleep, just first twist that. But yeah, you are definitely keeping me motivated to work. Oh, congratulations. Congratulations on engagement. It's good to talk to all of you guys. Anyway, so I had something interesting happen. I always say that people are welcome to visit me, and a YouTuber actually took me up on that, or a viewer of the channel, and she flew out and we hung out this past weekend, and we stayed up very late. She brought her Vive Pro wireless kit, and boy, I was impressed because I tried VR out, both the early Vive stuff, Oculus stuff, and of course you saw me do the Razer OSVR stuff on my channel several years ago, and it was kind of cool. It was kind of a neat little thing, but it wasn't like something that was immersive or something that I was like, okay, this is cool, but it's not fun to actually play. This was different. I think the longest session I was in VR for 4 hours without taking the headset off. I'm comfortable, really interesting. We played a couple of super cool games. One of them, it's gotten so good now that you're hiding from these robots and you're ducking behind desks, and dodging behind plants and dodging bullets and stuff as you're sneaking around. It was really immersive. It was really, really cool. So I'm glad that she brought that. That was awesome. But she also brought the GALAX 2070 because she was in Malaysia and was able to purchase it there no problem. And I wanted to show you guys because GALAX has, for several generations now, made the smallest GPUs in this class. As you can see, this is pretty much a standard height card. It's a teeny tiny little itty. It's not actually oversized because I think 110 is the spec, but I like sub-oversized, sub-sized cards that meet at the bracket tab, the PCI tab, and go down to the top of the card. But yeah, so this is the smallest little 2070 that you can possibly purchase. Of course, that's interesting for us because we all want to know about our brickless options in the Mini. So, yes. So, will it be a brickless option? Well, there's two other options right now. There is the Gigabyte 2070 Mini, and there is the Inno3D 2070. They might be called the 2070 Mini too. Now, the Gigabyte you can buy in the US. It's kind of hard to find, but you can. The Inno3D you have to import. There have been some scalpers out there. Last I checked, you can purchase it for $700 off of Newegg. And here's the thing, it's $200 extra. That's a lot of money, but it could be worth it because it's the easiest possible way to drop in a 2070 inside of your Mini without any modding whatsoever. Whereas the Gigabyte, you do need a special 24-pin cable, and it's kind of difficult to jam everything in there. I would pay the extra $200 because size, to me, that's the premium. But this, you're going to have to import as well, and it's even harder to get a hold of than the Inno3D if you're in America. But a lot of my customers are not in America. So, in fact, most of them are not. So, this might be available to y'all. So, enough of me talking. Does it fit? Well, unfortunately, we did build in her system for a little bit. I installed the Vive wireless card rigidly to her Skybracket Duo, and while I was in there, I threw this in, and no, it actually does not fit as nicely as Inno3D, despite it being smaller. And the reason is the location of the 8-pin connector. It actually ends up right on a component. I forget which component on the HD Plux 400 with the lid off. So unfortunately, no, this is not one that you can do easily, which is so disappointing because it's so tiny and small and awesome. So to make it work in a Mini, you pretty much have to do the connectorless cable. I have a tutorial for that on my Discord channel. Also an Imager. I'll post a link in the description when I'm done, or somebody can link to it now and I can enable it. But yes, you have to do this, which makes it not worth it, because if you're overseas, you probably can get the Inno3D anyway. So why would you choose this? On the other side, I have to say that this is a brilliant little card, very high quality. The shroud is all metal, aluminum. This thing's built like a truck. Very nice product. The only problem maybe consider is the I/O, which is, well, it's just O. It's just O on a GPU. It's very limited, but not super big of a deal. So I'll stop talking about that. But I just wanted to cover that just to say that I did get it. I did put it inside of a Mini, and it's not the best option for a brickless build. So thank you, Jessica, for letting me borrow it. I'm still going to be playing with it and seeing what it can push. Yes, and thank you, Mac Truck, for your breakdown of the compatible cards for the Mini. And if you want to put it in the chat, you can link it there, and then more people can see it later. So today, I'm not doing anything super fancy, but I have a customer who Mini blew up. He was doing some upgrades with a power supply, and I don't know what happened. Long story short, his PC blew up, so he had to RMA the parts, and he's kind of doing a new build. And whenever you order a PC from me and have me build it, I pretty much warranty that for life as far as the build goes. So even though it's a new PC, I'm doing it for him for free, the build. So just to let you guys know, you can always count on me to work on your hardware, because it's special. You know, you paid all that money, and I see it as a subscription model that you only have to pay one time for, which is the best kind of subscription model. And he shipped this from either Korea or Japan. He travels or lives in both countries, travels between them. This is Korean. I can't read Korean, but looks like this was shipped from Korea. I'll turn the air conditioner off in a second. Gyro, is that how you say your name, bro? So asked when the Mini's going to be released. I know it's been late. The reason being is Lee wanted to change the side structure for the Mini. They like, okay, we don't want to make this, so you have to come up with a different way of doing it. And the side panels are really important, and how they're designed is really important. So we had to come up with an alternative, so that it's just kind of thrown everything off. But I am placing the order like today or tomorrow. So that's the good news. So I have to go to the bank, do the wire transfer and all that. But it will be very, 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 very soon. But, you know, everything has to be right, guys. And it was kind of a mess moving back between China and Taiwan, making sure that Lee in Taiwan was going to make the product, making sure it was going to be made well, that I was actually going to be able to get on another batch of anodizing, because I've said before that's going to be going away. So we lucked out, and there's going to be more Minis, but I know that there's a delay, and I'm sorry about that. What can you do? I could blame SFF Lab for saying it was going to be available for pre-order. I thought it was going to be this summer, but I think it's a good thing overall. So there's the answer to that. Camden says, what is the smallest possible graphics card I can get for performance? I'm not sure what you mean. If you mean for a brickless build, really the Inno3D, I don't know what you mean. As far as No, I don't know what you mean. You have to give me more. What you gonna do with it? I should say. I mean, performance per liter. The 1080 Ti Mini from Zotac is probably the fastest graphics card. This tape is very interesting. Yeah, Mac, we do appreciate your work. We can't say this wasn't wrapped well. Inspecting the riser for tears or burns or anything. There is some marks on the back side. Little cuts, but I don't think it's poked through, so we should be okay. Traces are all good on the key. So that looks like it's going to work for us, which is awesome. This looks like the cooler. Nice and clean. I like to see that. When people are shipping me used coolers, they clean out the thermal paste. That's very nice. Ooh, pretty. Oh no. The tape leaves some residue. I'm gonna take my watch off because I don't want to scratch this. No sir-ee, Bob. And elevate it. Now we're going to see if duck adhesive remover is going to change the die at all, which I hope it will not. So I don't have to replace his panels. Seem to work quite well. Black mini with carbon fiber bezel. That is sexy. Hey, Andrew. Good to see you. Andrew, the best 2070 that fits is the Inno3D 2070 as far as doing a brickless build. In fact, that's the only... Well, no, the Gigabyte 2070 does fit, but you do need a special cable. It is a sloth. It's a sloth that dreaming of eating pizza, but he can't eat pizza because he's a sloth like me. I do not... Ew. Gross. Do not need to put this computer inside of here until I hear back from him about what parts he wants to do. Namely the HD Plex, because he wants to do a brickless build with this. I don't know if he was sending me an HD Plex or if he was going to be buying one from me. I do not know. Asus Service Repair Port. Power symptom, broken. Action. RMA service direct swap, but no repair. Cool. So Asus gave him a new motherboard, it sounds like. Which is very cool because from the story I heard, he blew it up with a bad power supply. So good job, Asus. Asus has had really, really good RMA service, I have noticed. It can take forever, but they have gotten to be a lot faster. It doesn't smell new. And there are fingerprints on it, but that doesn't mean much. Hey, Jamie. I really gotta use my box opening knife. So I don't end up cutting myself like I do with my scissors. This is a gift from one of my viewers, which I appreciate very much. Very nice little handmade gift. So kind. I am not deserving. I'm guessing this is the GPU. It's wrapped up really good, so I prematurely put that knife back. Cut towards myself, of course. That's the safest way to use a knife. Now, do they have a sheet that tells me what they did? Yep, maybe, possibly. No? Just the manual and driver CD? Hey guys, good to see you. Got a bunch of people. Oh, away from myself. This smells new. Gigabyte's like, yeah, fine, here's a new graphics card. Well, that's cool of them. Both Gigabyte and Asus get a big thumbs up from me for RMAing blowed up parts. I have never RMA'd a blowed up part before, or I probably should have tried, but I guess it's all fair. Like if you say, "Hey guys, I blowed up this part. It's on me. Do you have a replacement service for that?" But there, I'll turn that off. But I've never tried. Well, Jamie, it's a race to see if you have enough content out of this video to help keep you not bored while sleeving your... What are you sleeving? The mouse. Paraguaying the mouse. Yes. TJ, it is a very teeny tiny card in one direction, but in another direction, it's not so teeny. And that's actually a good point. Compare the GALAX 2070, about right here. So you can see how oversized the gigabyte card is, which means that you have to kind of move around the power supplies and kind of jam them in there and then make a really long 24-pin cable. If you guys are interested in seeing how to do this in a brakeless build, you have to go back and watch one of my streams. And to watch the streams on demand, you have to go to the playlists, because I don't keep them on the front page of my channel, or I try not to, because they just clutter everything up. So you'd have to go watch that on demand if you want to see how to put this in a brakeless build. Because unless I hear back from him like in the next 5 minutes, I'm not going to be doing this build in its entirety. All right, new parts. An 8700. 1 terabyte, 970 Evo Plus. And this is interesting. It's Dominator Platinum, which is not compatible in the Mini because it's way too tall. So I was like, do you want me to, send this back to you? Do you want to exchange it or return it and get some compatible RAM? Or do you want me to like try to take it apart? He's like, yeah, just take it apart. So that is going to be fun for me because I've never done this before and I want to see it work. I'm making you a mod, TJ, so you can approve messages and ban people at your will. Hey Chad, it's great to see you. Where have you been, my friend? Feels like it's been a while, but it's probably me actually, because I missed the last stream. But it's always good to have you pop in. Good. James says that it's going to be easy to remove this. But this is the Platinum. Does it have a light bar or is it just like an aluminum top? I do not know. Ooh, 3000 megahertz. It has all the megahertz. Well, not all. I mean, technically 3400 is all the megahertz, but that's just silly. That's too many megahertz. That's how 3000 is almost too many. All right, so I'm going to try and remove this fancy silver bar that goes over, and I think it will be enough to fit into a Mini afterwards. Do I have a Mini frame available? I do. Tyler's like, why don't you just mod the side panel? I could do that, but it takes a lot of time. And I asked the customer if that was the plan, because I hate doing that mod. You know, I know that's really messed up of me, and I'm sorry, because like I have a dream job of modding computers to pay my bills, but I don't like doing that one. But I do when people really, really want it. So I'm glad that he said no to that. But I'm actually surprised, because, you know, I did it for Linus. Obviously, it was a joke. Linus thought it was a joke. I thought it was a joke, and that's the kind of channel Linus Tech Tips is. So I'm like, all right, cool, that's awesome. So I did it for him. But so many people liked that, and they asked for that mod all the time. So I actually do have a file for 3D printing your own vent if you want to do the mod yourself. Where is it? I thought I had an extra one, but I finally perfected the vent. So it actually goes down, resets inside of the chassis. And it does look really nice. So the RAM doesn't look like it's just kind of sitting there with the sharp edges of the case. It does look nice, at least on the top. But I don't like mods. They're ugly from the bottom side, and there's really no good way to do that mod. And that's the reason I don't like doing it. Anyway. What was it? Okay, I was going to put this motherboard in this case. To test out the RAM height. Oh boy. Even by removing that bar, it's still not going to clear. So let's see if we can take the fins off. Does anybody know you can take the fins off and leave the other spreaders? He said I could take the entire thing, the assembly, down to the RAM if I wanted to, but I'd like to keep the spreaders because they look cool, you know. These are Torx. Teeny tiny Torx. Teenier tinier Torx. Yes. I was worried because this is my tiniest one without having to go piece together poppables. Poppables is what I call those little screwdriver drivers. The bits. I know everyone in the chat just got dumber for hearing that. Dremel the fins. Yeah, I'd use the grinder, or actually, this is a joke, but I'm closer to having my plasma CNC table finished. I haven't really started, but I've collected most of the parts. And I don't actually need one. It was one of those things where it's like, I don't need this, but I want to make one. It would have been really handy when making my Jeep and my friend's Jeeps, but we already have our Jeeps kind of made, so I guess this does have LEDs, or this is made to swap out for LEDs. Because this is a little plastic light pipe. Maybe it does have LEDs down in here. Yeah, it does. It's wiggly. It's like a separate piece from the sides. Does it slide out? Oh, it does indeed. Very nice. Okay, cool. And now we have normal height RAM. For people that want to know, this is a T6. A T6 driver. And as James said, yes, indeed, there are two little LEDs on either end of the RAM chip, and they go through the light pipe and go down, which it sounds like it would be a very pretty thing indeed. But at least we'll still have some blindingly bright LEDs sticking up through the case. These Torx bolts too are super cool. I'm gonna hold on to them. They're they both look like screws, right? but one is screws and a standoff, and the other is a sleeve with screw thread on the inside, which is just beautiful. I have no idea what I could use this for because they're only about 4 millimeters thick. If it was 5 millimeter diameter, I could definitely use this because that would be a common gauge for aluminum plate. But I don't know. I'm going to hold on and see because these are neato. Trasher Hater asked about the 800 watt HD Plex, but it's huge. It's ginormously huge. And plus, it's not really an 800 watt power supply. It is a distributor for two 400 watt AC power supplies. So you would have to have two AC bricks to take advantage of it. So it wouldn't be a big point. Plus, the 400 watt powers everything. You can look at my charts, which are in my Discord, and I probably will have on my website. Yeah, I have them on my website on the BOM page. But you can power a 2080 Ti off the HD Plex 400 AC. So don't really need it, an 800. That one was way looser. The other one was kind of stuck on there with double-sided tape. But that one came out easily. Jamie asks a good question. For a C6 connector, I'm not exactly sure. Because the case was made for the Schurter C8, so you could put one screw in to the tap and it would be fine, and it was a very tight fit, so it was like a press and it was already held, and then that just gave you a little extra security. But with the C6, it's hard to say. And this, so what I'd recommend doing is use a bolt. So just put yourself an M3 screw on the inside or outside, and then an M3 nut. And that should work. Yeah, you guys are gonna have to come up with some parts out of plate for me to cut on the plasma because I have no use for it. No use for it. If you can come up with something interesting enough, then I don't have to charge you for it because I'll want to make it anyway. So, George Hanks says, "How do you ground an HD Plex?" Well, you'd use any 3-pin connector that you want. Typically, people will put in like let me take this out. A 3-pin GX style aviation connector. I have a 4-pin here. I'm just using 3 of the pins. But you can use a 3-pin that. You could use a 12 millimeter. This is a GX16. Not have to cut anything. Got to watch how much juice you're putting through it, but they're rated for enough. I don't trust it because they're pretty tiny. You could use a C6 style connector. For the new Mini, it's going to have a cutout that's big enough for it, so that's not really a big deal. I mean, it's up to you. There's a plethora of different types of connectors out there. But you can't really fit a C14 connector if that's what you're talking about. James says for many style venting on some Jeep doors. My Jeep doors pretty much stay off of my Jeep year round. So I don't really need S4 style venting because it's like no covers on Mini venting. People look at me crazy as I'm going down in the middle of a rainstorm, but it has to be pretty bad out for me to put doors on my Jeep. Or a top for that matter. REMRM says, thinking about doing a Ryzen 3000 build in the Mini. Does it make sense to put a 105 watt chip in it, or should I stick with 65 watt? I say, I have two answers. One, if you are a tuner, if you are comfortable going into the UEFI and making changes and fiddling with stuff, and that could take a long time if things don't go your way, then that's what I would do. I would go with the 105 watt chip because you can always tune it down. If you don't want to mess with that stuff, you just want to kind of put your computer together and start playing games, the 65 watt chip is going to be fine. It's not going to bug you at all. Don't stress about getting every last bit of performance. That's only there, really, for people like me that like to tune. You know, that's how they have fun with their computers, is going in there and messing with it. So that's my opinion, my recommendation. And Jamie also says, is it time to order a new case? Any update in the next drop? Soon. I mean, I keep saying soon, but I didn't publish the data that was going to be able to pre-order on SFF Lab. But I can now say that this is the day, today is a day where I would have put that announcement up, because I am this close to actually placing the order. I was supposed to place the order today, but I'm confirming a couple more things with Lee and Lee. So very, very, very soon. After I pay them, they want to get my order done and shipped as soon as possible, so it should not be so long. So that's the update there. Yeah, so what was I doing? Putting a CPU in here. Let's put the CPU in here. I love this little thing. I noticed that he did not send his old power supply at all. So yeah, I'm going to have to check with him if he wants to purchase the HDPlex kit from me. I thought he might be sending the original HDPlex that came with it. But I'm seeing that is not the case. And just out of curiosity, show of hands for everybody that if they were going to order a Mini, not that you would, but if you were going to order a Mini, would you order it in all black, or would you order it with the current black-silver scheme I have now? I'm just interested to see what my audience would do. No judgment zone. And Tyler, to answer your question, I have seen them. I actually have one. I haven't had time to test. No, I actually have. I have tested one. I didn't test for performance, but I did get one from a customer, and I was really impressed because you could take the cooler off and still reuse it. And you really could. It didn't seem to be too damaged from doing that. So in this kind of office environment where I'm moving stuff around all the time, that's what I would definitely go with. The performance seemed fine as far as the temperatures I was recording, but I didn't actually do a real sit-down benchmark by swapping out paste yet. And I'm not the best person to do that anyway. It's going to be stupid for me to do that. It's much better for me to go watch a tech show on YouTube where the people know what they're doing. But I will say usability, it works fantastic as far as taking it off and reusing it. So for whatever that's worth. Asus did not include the standoff, but luckily I got them covered. Did I just drop my screw? I did, didn't I? Bounced on this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to read what people said for the minis and tally them up in a spreadsheet. Yeah, I didn't give you an option for black silver, but I'd consider that. It's not too late for me to do that. But I'm thinking all black for the sake of cost. The thing about it is, like, it's not free for me to add color combinations. It costs me more money. I don't think I'd charge you guys more, but just that's why I wouldn't do it. It increases the complexity, particularly in storage and shipping, by a large amount, so there is a cost associated with it. Otherwise, yeah, I'd have all sorts of combinations. Could have red and blue, why not? Kitty, if you want to talk about a custom build, just send me an email and we can talk about doing it. I don't know about paint at this time, depending on how much you're willing to pay, though, because I have to outsource it. So I can call up and find people to do that for you. But the window, for sure. Another thing that I've done, guys, I've spent all my money that I've ever made the past couple months. I'm trying to grow the business. I would like to bring back more work here in the United States because I want to employ, my neighbors and other people locally rather than having to outsource and do it. But so I'm experimenting, and I bought a laser. I have no idea how it's going to work out. It might be the biggest waste of money I've ever spent in my life, but it's also going to allow me to do stuff like windows and stuff and have the cost be reasonable. Because right now, people are paying a lot of money for me to CNC things because it's a lot of work to set up a CNC and do the cam and do the fixturing. Yeah, Tyler, that's nice, but people are going to do that. But, yeah, that will make it affordable for acrylic parts and pieces, so. Until it breaks, and then it will just be like something I'll have to roll back into the ocean. Just be like... Yeah, and Kitty, I can totally do that kind of stuff. So you could have all sorts of patterns and graphics. Totally, that would be totally easy to do. I can do that now. I can do that now in the CNC. But to CNC that kind of work is a ridiculous amount of time. So it would just be extremely expensive. Whereas the laser, I can probably etch via raster with certain software, so it's much faster that way. And the laser I'm getting too, if you have gas hooked up to it and the right lens and everything, you can cut some steel. And that's kind of what I'm interested in. Some really thin steel for making brackets and stuff like that quickly and easily. I have no idea how it will work out. It might be a total wash. It might burn the laser up too quick. But if it does work, then what I want to do is I say, okay, well, I have a CNC and I have a CNC plasma, and I have a laser and a 3D printer from somebody else owns and has here. If you are a case designer yourself, you're an indie case designer, you're getting and starting to make things, then you can actually go to me and you can have like a one-stop shop to have prototypes and stuff made, and I could probably do some help you do it as well. So you're not trying to go and find people that might have all the tools to get your parts made, and you won't be paying super big money for engineers that work with cases already, or you won't be talking to people that have no idea what you're doing and can't really offer you feedback. So that's my goal, is to actually be not from Concentrate and help new case makers bring their vision to reality. That's the goal, that's the hope, but who knows what will actually happen. But anyway. Donna She says, did I miss the GALAX 2070? You did. If I can go over real quick again, here it is. It's tiny, it's beautiful, it's very well built, it's all metal. I really like this thing. The only thing is, because of the position of the 8-pin on the side, you can't actually use this in a mini in a brickless build without mods. And would I get this over the Gigabyte 2070? They're both going to be installed pretty much the same way at the end of the day, maybe a little bit differently. This is actually more akin to the Nano build I did. So if you go to my streams, my playlists, and you go watch my live stream playlist, and you go watch how to install the Vega Nano, this would have the exact same installation. I don't know which one's better. You can probably watch benchmarks. You can only get this one. This is the only option for the US. This one you can buy in Asia, and I think in Europe too, but this is at mostly Asian distribution. And the last option is, of course, the Inno3D 2070, which is the one that I pretty much recommend. Hendry, I know this is the worst answer ever, but soon. But actually soon. It should actually be soon. I'm placing the order within the next 24-ish hours. Then once I place the order, then I can open pre-orders up. Now that I've got the prototype in and everything. And you guys can pre-order it. I only take pre-orders after I've gotten my prototypes. I've tested everything out. I have shipping lined up. And now I've done this... How many times? I've done it several times now, so I've kind of tuned it all out. Whereas I don't want to act like I'm stomping anybody's parade, but I think it's kind of irresponsible to do a pre-order without actually having done that or have a path forward, because there's going to be a lot of hiccups along the way, and you don't want your customers waiting forever and ever. And I'm not immune to there being delays, but at least I know it's I'm pretty solid, certain it's going to work out. If that makes sense. I know I kind of rambled there, but... Yeah, I've seen that Mack truck, but I just haven't been able to actually take advantage of it. So if anyone has experience ordering direct from GALAX and having it shipped to the United States, let me know, because that would be very interesting. So, Jamie asked what I think about the 1660 Ti. Unfortunately, I haven't got a chance to really dive into them, because there's a couple different models. Like, there's actually a 1660, right? The 1660 Ti. Are they connectorless? That's what I want to know. If they are connectorless and they are slightly better than the 1050 Ti, then I'm all in, and that's amazing, and I can't wait to get my hands on one of them. So that's my thoughts. But since I'm not really a computer guy, not into tech news, I can't really answer that question, and I'm not the best person to ask anyway, other than how does it fit and is it really small form factor, and I haven't got a chance yet to get my hands on one. So here is this. We could see if it boots. I guess I could put the cooler on. You did a nice job with that. Oh no. I'm really hoping to get my custom mod back from Joe from Sanctum Sleeving, so I can show you what that looks like before I ship it off to Singapore, I think. Oops. Cleaned the wrong thing. George asks, is it feasible to prototype cases with hand bending machines and a milling machine, or tolerance be an issue? You totally can do it that way. I don't really know your machine, so it's hard for me to say for the tolerance for it. But I mean, I was prototyping with hand tools and a drill and a file, so I know that you can do that. Wow, Nanashi, thank you. That is a huge donation. I really appreciate that. That is amazing. So thank you very, very much for that whopping donation. Really, I don't deserve that, but I'll try to put it to good use. So thank you very much. And thank you to all the people that super chat me all the time. So, I mean, Jim Bond, he sends me money constantly, and Chad and everybody that supports the channel. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. So I really don't deserve that. You guys are the drivers we all come together on the channel to talk about stuff, but I'm just an idiot in front of the camera. But thank you. Okay, so the 1650 is connectorless, but the 1660 is not. Well, then I really don't know the answer. Thank you, Kitty. I appreciate that. You guys have been really supportive, and I really do appreciate it. Oops. Yeah, here's one of those graphite pads. This one's by Innovation Cooling. But these are what they look like. It's like a stick of those little, what do you call it? Those mouthwash strips that were popular for a while. Really thin pad. It's like a fabric you can reuse. But they're supposed to perform pretty decently, but you don't have to use this, which is a mess. So that's what I was talking about earlier. Now that I've done a lot of builds, I think that this is the good amount of thermal paste to use on this size die. This is just how I do it. I'm not saying this is how you should do it. I'm not saying this is the correct way, but this seems to be about the right amount. I started off with the when I was a kid, putting just gobs of it on, and then we learned that less is more, so I just use it a little tiny bit, and then I would get a business card and carefully spread it across all the way, and then went to the P size amount, and then did the X, and then I did the 3 lines, but now I just do a single pretty hefty line down the middle, and it seems to work quite well for me. Yeah, Thule says it right. There are a precious few single-slot gaming GPUs these days. No kidding. It's gotten to be quite goofy. Well, this is a Z370 board. Okay, so that goes like this fan. I forget that this is a used fan, and I've already installed it the right way, so I'm like, that's weird. The fan cable's on the opposite side it should be, which is the correct side, but it's because it's been used before. But it's almost right. That's the weird thing. It should be like this. Can I get to it from the bottom with this bench top table that was donated by Chad? He's still on the channel. Thank you, Chad. Listerine pocket packs. This guy, I know who you are. That was hilarious. We went back and forth for like, I don't know, like a week talking about where to find the Kicon 4-pin connector that would work, and neither of us could find it. And I had misunderstood what he was trying to accomplish, and then he's like, yeah, I just wish I had the original, like, in connector. I'm like, oh, you want that? And I just happened to pull it out of my drawer because I had one for no particular reason. It was pretty funny, but I'm sure he was pretty mad at me after that, but for wasting a week of his life. Why is this not going down? You could put a 120, Kitty, but I wouldn't recommend it because the hub's going to be bigger. And depending where you put the hub, you're going to get less air into the heatsink. So I wouldn't recommend it. You can run it with a shroud. I know Jay Hack had like an adapter. If you go to his web store, somebody might know it. Or I wish I could remember it off the top of my head. But Jay Hack, I think, does have an adapter for it. He also has an adapter for the much better Thermalright 100 millimeter fan, which is what I would do if I was going to do any kind of mods. But the thing about it is, the reason the Noctua is so good, like the cooler, after doing my cooler shootout, the cooler's not that great. Okay? The fit and finish is flawless. It fits in there nicely. That's all well designed and everything. But as far as the performance goes, because of how they rivet or clip, whatever you want to call it, the fins together, it doesn't exhaust air very well. So it's not the best performing cooler in that regard. But the fan is so unbelievably good that it blows all the competition away, that it ends up being a good cooler. So I wouldn't replace the fan, to be honest. In fact, I replace most fans with this fan, even bigger fans with it. So that's what I would recommend. The cryo rig does not fit in the Mini with the stock fan, and the stock fan of the cryo rig is awful. So I would not recommend that. The cryo rig itself is pretty much the same design as the Noctua. It's just bigger, so it outperforms the Noctua. But again, I wouldn't recommend it for the most case. The cryo rig is a beautiful cooler that's really inexpensive for how quality it is. But there's other coolers out there. If you really want the answer, I do have a video. It's probably still on the front page. It's like 40 coolers tested or whatever. You don't have to watch it. But in that video, there is a link to a spreadsheet that just show you the combinations coolers that both fit and their performance. The best performing cooler combo, I think, still is the LP53 with the Noctua NHL9i on it. It's a very expensive combo because the two things you gotta buy are both expensive. So that's the solution. And this guy, if you asked me to place money, I would have bet $1,000 that any $99 Noctua would have toasted any all-in-one cooler solution on the market. Absolutely. That's how much confidence I have in it. So I don't know if I'd lose $1,000 or not, but I have never had a really positive experience. It depends on the fans, right? But with the stock fans that those all-in-ones include, they're generally not very good. So I feel like it'd be safe. But I would be interested in seeing modern results, because all-in-ones have gotten better. That's not saying much, my opinion. They have gotten better. But with the Noctua, it's probably going to be as easy to install in most cases. It's going to last a lot longer. It's going to have amazingly quiet fans. It might be cheaper. I don't know what high-end all-in-one goes for these days. But yeah, I would go with the Noctua any day. Now, custom liquid cooling setup, no, I would go with custom liquid cooling if I could make it work, because that's awesome, even if that doesn't perform as good. Pike Pocket asks, if you break the fans on your GPU, what do you do? If you break the fans in your GPU, you can go to the manufacturer, and generally they have replacement fans. If it's under warranty, you can get them free. Otherwise, they're pretty cheap usually. But I'd use that opportunity to replace it if you can with something like the NHL9i for the most part, which are nice, thin, and perform quite well. That's what I would recommend. And somebody posted something about the all-in-one debate, and I'm going to read it. And if I was gonna try to explain that guy as far as why I would outperform it, the all-in-ones have a giant problem. They don't have a reservoir, so there's air bubbles in the line. And when you have air bubbles in the line, the pump performance is going to be extremely compromised. You're not going to be able to generate enough pressure or flow in order to really take advantage of that giant radiator it comes with. So even though it might be a triple fan setup with more fin density than the Noctua, your bottleneck is going to be air in your line. Whereas the Noctua pretty much is just, it's copper touching copper touching copper. Whereas the all-in-one, it's copper or maybe even aluminum touching air, touching propylene glycol, then touching the copper. So that's the real bottleneck with all-in-ones. If you add a reservoir to an all-in-one, performance does increase. I think I've even tested that in a live stream once, and it worked better. If you can get a real pump installed, the performance is dramatically better. So that's basically my findings over the years. I'm not saying I'm right or I'm wrong. I'm just saying that that's been my observation of why all-in-ones are such garbage. There are exceptions. Some cases you can just fit more cooler with an all-in-one. Like I ran the SG05 shoebox cases from Silverstone for a long time, and did those for my corporate builds. Whenever I would build a lot of computer cases, that's what I would do. I'd put an all-in-one in the front because you can get a lot more cooler there than you could using a cooler underneath that power supply. So yeah, I mean, you gotta be smart about where your cooler is going. But also, side note, I've never had one of those that's still operating today. I've had to replace every corporate cooler that I've ever made with stock Intel coolers because all the all-in-ones failed. Some of them failed after a year, some of them failed after 3 years, but they've all failed. So, and this is lots of different brands. I know they've gotten better over time, but it still is. I am trolling a little bit with how negative I am versus all-in-ones, but that will never happen with a stock heatsink, right? I mean, the stock Intel heatsinks, they can start. We've all seen them can be completely and totally clogged with dust, and they're still operating. So. A Novak, to clarify, the base of the Noctuas are copper, the heat pipes are copper, and then, yeah, you're right, the fins are nickel-plated aluminum for the most part. But even we've seen some other examples, like the Thermalright coolers and the CryoRig coolers. It doesn't really matter if the fins are made out of copper or not. They may or may not improve performance, but it's so slight, doesn't make that big of a difference. But that... I was using hyperbole a little bit there. Yeah, and I never had I've only had one all-in-one leak, and I can discount that, as just being a one-off. But really what happens is all fluid in your system, whether you have an all-in-one or you have a custom loop, evaporates. Depending on the humidity, depending on your sea level, your barometric pressure, it might go slowly, it might go quickly, but it will evaporate. And if you have air in your lines, that evaporates faster. So if you already have air in your lines and you're losing more fluid, the performance is going to degrade. And eventually what happens is the pumps cavitate. It's not really the pumps don't actually cavitate, but they get spinning dry. Like an air bubble will get caught in it and it will just spin dry. And so the pumps burn up and then you don't have your fluid circulating. And it can be hard to diagnose because, you ask the customer, well, is the fan spinning? Yeah, it is. They see it in like the UEFI, the CPU fans working, but it's hard to diagnose. Nowadays, motherboards do have like an all-in-one pump header, which provides more feedback. It's more power to your all-in-one pump, which is good. It could be easier to diagnose that way, but that's what happens is that the pump fails. But it's important to stress that I'm not a scientist, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a guy on YouTube that studies this stuff in detail. I'm only talking about from personal experience. Luckily, I have built a lot of them personally, so I have at least some kind of metric, but it's just my bias, my inherent bias, or inherent bias. I can't even use the right words. So that shows you how much you should trust me. The motherboard in this build, that's a relevant question, is the Z370. Yeah, I think this is a Z370. The Asus Z370. Strix, gaming Strix. Yep. No, Sean, that's dangerous. Plugging into my mains. But yeah, it makes a feedback noise with some mics, so I try to run it off battery where I can. Yeah, I the reason I didn't swap it out quickly, and I'm sorry about that, is I only have one monitor right now, and usually I have two monitors up, so I missed it. But yeah. Anyway, I was talking about the OBT Mini. I don't know if anybody heard that, but I said that I really like it. It's very pretty. It's fun to use. The only thing I don't like about it is the GPU post that's used to keep the GPU upright. Unfortunately, it works poorly in multiple ways. It covers ports. It doesn't hold the GPU very well. And I've actually broken a motherboard from using a full-size graphics card by using this pin. Everything does fold nicely. It folds completely flat, so that's pretty clever. I really like it. So I do recommend it, but you could use a motherboard box to do some testing. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. People were asking earlier about the 1650, and I found out that it is a connectorless card. So any connectorless card that replaces the 1050 Ti is, in my book, a huge winner, because I love that graphics card. But I actually haven't tested it out personally, so. Well, Sean, what can I do? I can only dream of eating pizza because of my tummy. So that's why I have my sloth t-shirt. I'm a sad sloth that can only eat things like bananas. But maybe when you come visit, we can go out or something. Yes, the BC one. Thank you. Or BCI. BCI. BC1 or BCI? Yeah. Well, I think I've done, unless I could check my mail and see what the customer wants me to do here. But I think that we've accomplished everything we need to accomplish. Let's see. That'd be totally awesome, T-Jaws, and I mean, like, literally the best thing ever, but I can't actually eat pizza anymore. So it would just be, like, the worst, cruelest thing you could do. The 1650 blows the 1050 out of the water? What about the 1050 Ti? If that's the case, that's amazing. And with Felix joining our stream, I can finally say that we are done for today because we don't want him to enjoy any NFC stream. We'll keep up the the record of him missing every single one. Poor guy. Oh, that's sad, Sean. He says that all the popular tech guys are saying that 1650 is worthless because you should buy the RX 570. But I think it goes to show you that no one's thinking small form factor, right? I mean, I love the idea of a connectorless graphics card for very small builds, and the 570 requires a connector. So that already makes the 1650 attractive to me, and one of the reasons that I love the 1050 Ti so very, very much. Even though I have to look at some benchmarks because drivers actually do make the 570 and the 1050 Ti kind of go up and down. The 570 should be faster, but... Well, anyway, this was a really fun stream. You guys asked awesome questions and taught me a bunch of new stuff and showered me with money, which was also really great. And a lot of my favorite people made the stream. So, yeah, this is a win-win all around. So why not stop while the going is good before I embarrass myself anymore? But I appreciate you guys. I love you. God bless. Have a fantastic evening. And I will see you next week, and hopefully post a video on installing a Vive Wireless Pro card and a Mini, and where we fit it in. Special thanks to all the Super Chat people that donated so much today. I wish that I could actually read all of them off, but because I can't read all of them off, because YouTube doesn't show it anymore, it won't be unfair. Also, thank you to Jessica for letting me borrow her 2070 from GALAX. And for Felix for missing most of the stream, because you got to keep that record up, bro. So, peace.